Hello, my name is Eva Mervald, and as part of my Silver Award project for Troop 9131, I will be teaching you how to crochet a single stitch, which will look like this, while also teaching you how to create a double stitch, which, with enough practice and also enough time, can look like this. The things you will need for this video are a crochet hook, which anywhere around 6.5 millimeters should be good for starting, and also a ball of yarn. I would recommend working with a lighter color for the start because darker colors are harder for your double stitch. Just a quick heads up, everything in crochet should not be too tight or too loose. You shouldn't have to be tugging to create a really tight stitch because that'll make it fairly difficult to do your double stitch, and it also shouldn't be too loose because you don't want it falling apart. Okay, starting with crochet, you're going to need to create a slip knot. Now, to create a slip knot, I'm going to call, and for the remainder of the video, I'm going to call this the dead end and this the other end, the end that is attached to the yarn. So to start with your slip knot, you're going to take your dead end and you're going to wrap it over your finger, and then you're going to wrap it over the other end to create this little cross. Now going behind the other string, take your dead end, so you should wrap around the dead end around your other string and put it over your other finger. Now, I didn't leave enough room, but leave a good amount of room on your dead end. Okay, so it should look like that. Then you're going to take your loop and you're going to put it over the other kind of lump or loop. And then, like the comment I've said before, not too tight, not too loose. Just give it a little tug and that should be good. And then it should end up looking like that. And to know if it's a slip knot, you can just pull both ends and it should just slip out. Now there's a second way to do this, and that way is a little easier to explain. So you're going to take your dead end and you're going to create a cross with your other end just to look like this. Then you're going to take your dead end, you're going to create a little loop, but don't pull the whole end in the hole, and then you're just going to pull. You're going to keep pulling, give it a little tug, and it should look like that. To know if it's a slip knot, pull it out, and it should just slip out. Now if you need help, just back it up a little bit and use whichever technique works best for you. Go ahead and pause the video, make sure you have your slip knot, and get your hook ready because we're about to crochet. Now going in with your crochet, you're going to have your slip knot and your hook. You're going to put your hook into your hole and tighten it. Not too tight, but enough where it can slide up and down. So to keep your other piece of yarn in control and not be all over the place, you're going to wrap it around your pinky and you're going to wrap it around your pointer finger. I'll show that one more time. You're going to take your yarn, you're going to wrap it around your pinky, then you're going to wrap it around your pointer finger. And this will help also to keep the crochet as tight and keep your yarn in control. Now if you want to, you can also wrap it around your finger again so it comes a little closer, but that is a little harder to keep in control. Starting with the single stitch, this is the basics, what you need to know for starting any other crochet type projects. I'll back it up a little. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. This first part is for right-handers. For left-handers, it's the opposite, but I'll show it with left hand too. So you're looking at your crochet hook and yarn. It should look like this for right-handers. Okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna put your hook in front of the yarn and twist it around. So you should have the yarn twisted around your hook. Here, I'll show that one more time. Put the yarn behind, or put the hook in front, and bring the hook forward. And the yarn should be in front. It should look like this. Okay, once you have that down, you're going to pull down and pull through. So now your new loop should be from this yarn, and you should have your first knot. I'll show that one more time. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your hook in front of the yarn, then behind the yarn, and hook it. Then you're going to pull down, and like I've said, not too tight, but not too loose. And you have your second knot. Now, you're going to continue that for, I would say, about 10 times, and you will end up with something that looks like this. Should almost look like a little braid. I will show the loop one more time. So here you go. You're going to go behind the yarn and in front of the yarn. Then you're going to pull through. And there you go. You have, or at least I have, my third loop. And then you're just going to continue that. When you start doing this a lot and start to become and start to make bigger projects, your hand will not want to move as much, or your hand shouldn't move as much. You should only have the hook moving. I'm not at that level yet, but yeah. And don't feel like you have to go fast, because you want to have a consistent tightness and a consistent kind of loops, so that it'll look much better in your final product of a single stitch or your final product of a double stitch. Speaking of double stitch, let's get into the double stitch. Now, to start the double stitch, you should have a pretty good single stitch. Your loops should be consistent. They should be of a good consistency, meaning not too tight, not too loose, and you should have practiced multiple times in order to have a good flow. Now, once you have all those components, you can start on the double stitch, which is used to create these kinds of artworks, like blankets, which take a lot more yarn. But yeah, it creates a square or a rectangle like I have here. So starting in, you can have as many loops as you want. I have about 15 here, which would create the width of my project, and then we would go up for the length. Now, to start, you're going to see that there are little holes. See those little holes created from these little loops? So you're going to want to go into that hole right there. Right, that one, sorry. So you're going to want to stick your hook into that hole. And now, oops. And now you should have 2 loops on your hook. Should look like this, or whatever color you have. Then, just as a single stitch, we're going to wrap around and we're going to pull through only one of those hooks. So then you have another 2 loops. Then we're going to wrap around one more time, and we're going to pull through both of them. Okay, so now you have 1 loop on your hook, and you have this little square, or what looks like a square. Okay, I'll show that again. Once you do that, you're not going to go into this hole, you're going to go into the next hole. So, put it through. You should have 2 loops. You shouldn't have 3, because if you have 3, that means that you put it in too low, and you need to try one more time. And just like before, you're going to wrap around and pull through only 1, so you have another 2 loops. And then you're going to wrap around and pull through 2. So now you can kind of see we have a little repetition going. I'll show this one more time, and then I'll show you what to do when you reach the end and how to create even more layers. So one more time, I'm going to put it through the loop. Oops, sorry. 2 loops on your hook. Just as the single stitch, wrap around and pull through the first loop. 2 loops on your hook. Wrap around and pull through, oops, your 2 hooks to leave 1 loop on your hook. And now, as you can see, here, let me take my hook out there. And when you take your hook out, make sure you have a nice big loop so that you can put it back in, maybe wrap it around your pointer. You can now see that we are starting to create this little V part. Now when you get into more rows, you're not just going to want to put it through 1 loop, you're going to want to put it through both of these little loops, or both of these little lines. So you're going to have 3 loops on your hook, but that is when you build on top of your first chain. Okay, now you continue that until you reach the end. So you can pause the video, continue, and I'm going to show you what it's going to look like on the end. Now, this is the final product of your first row of double stitch. As you can see, it's a little curved, and it's okay if yours is curved too, because as you layer more and more, this will eventually straighten itself out. Now, to begin your second row, you're going to flip it around so that this is the tail, and you're going to find your first loop, which is going to be this one closest to the crochet hook. So you're going to stick it in, and now as you can see there are 3 loops. These 2 are very close together, but there are 3 loops if you start to separate them. And just as we've done before, we are going to wrap it around, and pull through the first 2 loops, and then again wrap it around and pull it through the next 2 loops. And then you're going to continue that. We'll do it one more time. And as you can see, there is this little V. You want to put your hook through both of those strings. So, put your hook through, wrap it around, pull through the first two, which will then create two, and then wrap it around, pull it through the next two. Oh, whoops. Pull it through, and you will end up with one. Now I'll show this one more time. Going to put your hook through, up close, 1, 2, 3, wrap it around, 1, 2, wrap it around one more time, 1. Okay, as you can see, it's layering, and this is the start of 3. Let me finish my row, and then I'll show you the end product. And here is the final product of 3 rows of a double stitch. Now we have this final little loop here, so what you want to do is you want to cut off after the loop, so not in the loop but after the loop. So grab your scissors and cut right about there. Okay. And then pull the end part through. So you should have that and that. And then just to secure it into place, I would tie a little knot, not a slip knot, a 4-square knot. So you tie it once, and then you tie it again. I normally put about 3 knots in there. That's what I used for my other product. So that's 2. And then, actually, I think 2 is good enough for this small project. And then you can just cut off the tails. And you can also cut off the tail on this one. You don't need to tie it because we already have the slip knot. And here is the finalized product. Ladies and gentlemen, this is 15 loops in width and 3 rows in length. It's still a little curved because 3 rows is not enough to straighten it out. This didn't take me too long. It took basically the video's length. But this took a lot of time and effort. I would say around 3 hours. This was maybe 20 to 25 loops wide and maybe 15 rows. Yeah, I would say 15 rows. So this is what you could create with a lot of time and effort put in. But for now, you should probably practice smaller and get a good grip on how to do your double stitch. And before any of this, you should get a good grip on how to do your single stitch, because that is the main base for all of these projects. Thank you all so much for watching this video, which goes to supporting my Girl Scout project. I hope you guys can create great things with crochet and are staying safe. Bye!